Inácio will have to spend what he can and what he can't. He will have to get rid of public money to try to cover up the repercussions that are happening all over Brazil. Guys, influential people are stepping out of their comfort zone. These are personalities who stand with the Brazilian people, world-renowned athletes at major events, for example, UFC, fighting events. We're waiting for this response from our soccer players because you can count on them. Most of them are right-wing. People who really understand the problems the country is going through, and fighters, UFC fighters. This great expression of world sports and Brazilians who are the greatest champions in this sport are making it happen. I'll show you a police officer who also fights and won his match. He exposed this mismanagement and went to support police officers in Rio de Janeiro. Another fighter, also a great champion, Day, also yesterday, no, not yesterday, at the very end of last week on the timeline. They are coming out in support of the people. This puts Inácio in a desperate situation. I'll show you here, but go ahead and hit the like button, help the video get more engagement, and come be a part of our family. I'm sharing this in multiple videos. More rats, one a little bit more. Tip. Something that already sticks slowly. It's extremely useful and excellent for those who want to lose weight. What we are showing here, my friends here, these people really have, with honor, right? My friends, their ideal and guiding principle in life. Here, the fighter, right? It looked great live on Globo. Gil Diniz even shared here that Globo had to cut it, just so you have an idea, right? During the fight music show, held last Saturday, now in São Paulo, the fighter and military police officer, Cabo Pereira, had his speech cut by the Combat channel from Grupo Globo. Exactly when he was dedicating the fight to the military police officers of Rio de Janeiro, Globo cut it when he honored Rio de Janeiro police officers, since he's also a police officer, fighter, and champion. The audience watched the fight, and the fighter said the broadcast cut to commercials when he mentioned the Rio de Janeiro police. Another case of censorship against those who pay tribute to security forces. We showed it here, look, his statement. Globo ordered it cut. Globo is too harmful, my friends. It's the worst thing in our country, I say, the moment this network is gone. Half of the country's problems will be solved. Because those who are anchored, propped up behind these nefarious people will stop having support. Before.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the commander of the military police of the state of Rio de Janeiro for what he did there in Rio de Janeiro.
Hey.
The vaccinated one.
I also wanted to offer my condolences to the families of the 4 police officers who were killed there in Rio de Janeiro.
The whole crowd cheering. You can break it with this one, you can break it. Datafola, Ibope, whoever they want. Then you see the people supporting the crowd. Just like that nasty guy, Luciano Huck, whom I mentioned here. I want to honor the victims of the police. The victims. Brazil is Rio de Janeiro. It's the place I chose to raise my children. Pale face, shameless pale face. It's Rio de Janeiro. He chose it for his children and all. And the children? Of every Brazilian living in Rio de Janeiro, those who have love and a beautiful place, how can somewhere be so beautiful? Be dominated, and when we see someone making a difference, these elements show up who talk big but are all talk. They even support crime. The image makes it clear. Rio de Janeiro is safe for Luciano Huck, with lots of police officers. Rio de Janeiro, in this situation, for the people who pay all the salaries of these sellouts, these shameless ones, it's outrageous. Here, this great UFC champion was on the timeline, showed the whole of Brazil the differences between the United States and Brazil. Here you struggle, work. And believe it or not, a chocolate bar. Look at the example I'm giving. That's a lot. Chocolate, meat, all of it. You pay more for a Grotto chocolate bar here in Brazil. It's not like in the United States where it's over 200 grams, right? Over there in the United States, they sell it to Americans. It goes to the United States. The Grotto chocolate bar, 200 grams, 200 grams. Here, it's 90 grams, and it's more expensive than over there in the United States. A chocolate that's made here, just like chocolate, and many other foods that go there. Even though it's made here, it costs us more than it does for Americans. Does that make sense? He explained that. The car prices, that's another story. Here, you pay 3 times what your vehicle is actually worth. With 70% being the base, much more than 70%, it gets close to 100%. If you take the tax literally right there and all the calculations these economists do, you end up paying almost 100% of the car's value. There, Americans pay $50 for vehicle tax. $50 for vehicle tax. Any car, whether a Ferrari or another, it could be, let's say, a Corolla. In the United States, they don't have things like a popular 1.0 car. Those don't exist there. You get a Corolla, over there it's $50. A Ferrari is $50. A pickup truck is a little more expensive. Why? It's heavier, so it does more damage and costs $80. They're robbing us, my friends. They're robbing us right in front of our faces. What these people often do is steal the money from our taxes right out of our pockets. It's unacceptable. Several sports personalities here are exposing these atrocities. And what does this lackey do? Look at what this lackey does. He spends $500,000 on posts about security after the operation over there in Rio de Janeiro. Because things are getting tough for him. So he said, look, I'm going to open the Sidone. I'm going to open the vault to try to contain the damage. Then you. Look at this here. The influencers paid to promote Lula's government during President Bolsonaro's administration. When Moraes opened that investigation, they did a sweep in that fake news investigation. A sweep. Who was Bolsonaro paying? Bolsonaro was distributing millions to influencers. Us here on the internet. Then it was revealed, discovered, that Bolsonaro never sent absolutely anything to anyone. Because the engagement was, always it was, and still is, and always has been, totally spontaneous. In other words, the person opens a video here, a certain camera, to be able to speak, to show the dissatisfactions and the achievements of President Bolsonaro's government, and the dissatisfaction with this rotten, decayed system here. Now, Lula, look here. Lula has increased the use of digital influencers to promote his actions and strengthen his image. A bunch of influence in CL. That Chupa Lula Institute on Facebook, Instagram, in several places, right here on YouTube, several places. Government connections with influencers go beyond sponsored posts. Some collaborate, like the Chupa Lula Progressista Institute. There are others. They're people I've never seen in my life. Their business is President Bolsonaro's family and Nicholas. Look here, see?
We're now officially in a dictatorship. You can
believe that these are the people you call no.
You have to pay so these people can be engaged. You pay, and you pay a lot of money. Here, look at this big mouth here. You pay a lot of cash. It's absurd. This is the element. Just so you know, look. Laura Sabino, content creator, self-declared Marxist, uses social media to defend progressive ideas. So far, so good. Recommending books and discussing politics is fine. Criticizing the right is typical. He collaborated with the MST. Sindipado, the Union from Our Beloved Espírito Santo. He participated in events by CREA, the G20, and the G20 Social, all involving a lot of money. She was talking here about changes to the income tax, which, look, the right doesn't want. They don't want income tax to be charged on those who earn up to 5,000 rees. Look at her talking here. Let's see here.
Who you are and the attack against that.
Here, she even used Olavo de Carvalho's phrase to say that. Attack, accuse you of what you are. That famous phrase from Professor Olavo de Carvalho, accuse others of what you do, accuse others of what you are. She used Olavo de Carvalho's phrase to say that those who belong to the right, who belong to this phrase, are the ones.
Easy. Politicians have often tried to.
The right wing.
They
They have no creativity. She was talking here about the income tax, which the right wing doesn't want. No, my dear. We oppose income tax for those earning up to 5,000, but support it for those earning 10, 20, 30, 40, or higher. Nobody wants to pay income tax to support you because that's what it's for. You're paying income tax to support Paliga because look, Lula is paying them here, see? Tiago Foltran, none of this would get any engagement. But a lot of money is spent. Look, Lula sends all the tax money exactly to these people. But there isn't. Sometimes there are views, but it doesn't matter. There's no engagement because people dislike them. Are you noticing all these union hacks show up? Are they making a ton of money? And then you don't have Zando. You won't see Zando. Zando doesn't look, investigate. It's a crime. Learn, you won't see fake news. You won't see it at all. Man, guys, it's not about money. It's already over 70 million reais. For them to bring these specialists to Globo, it's getting hard to hide. 80% of Rio de Janeiro favela residents support the police operation. Check out Globo's specialists, the experts, right? A young man with 86 prior police records was released last month since his crime didn't involve violence or serious threat. 86 records. You're not seeing it wrong. 86 records. Folha de São Paulo. Look here. The others that Lula pays, look here. This shameless guy wrote this. Operation in Rio is part of the far-right's totalitarian project, says the researcher. About violence. Look, the violence researcher graduated from those federal universities, right? Then Lula's government will renovate the 3 Power Square for 34 million on the 57% more than planned. Now he's going to spend like almost 50 million, right? Let's put it that way. Half of 100, almost half of 100. When they say 34, it's always more expensive, especially with personal training. It's never actually 34, always higher. He's going to spend all that money to renovate the Praça dos Três Poderes. Look at the priorities. You really have to hire an influencer for Bebel, right? The critic here refers to people making a difference, likely meaning the governor of Rio de Janeiro.
Can you understand?
How does this state, such a highly politicized state, elect a guy like that for governor? Who acted like a jerk? Who just stayed there and didn't do a damn thing?
Just by using those curse words. You're going to have to spend all the money in the world. And look, none of this is making any difference to them. You can be sure of that. Share this video on WhatsApp, Turga, Facebook, and like it to boost engagement. And come be part of our family by subscribing to the Great Fighter channel. He showed Brazil to the world. Look, the people are on the side of our honorable military police officers.